Good morning, students. In the last class, we have discussed what will happen if the egg is fertilized and what will it happen if the egg is not fertilized. We have learnt that if egg is fertilized, then it leads to pregnancy followed by the development of baby in the womb of the mother, then delivery of the child. If the egg is not fertilized, then menstruation takes place. These are the things we have learnt in the last classes. Now let us learn what is reproductive health. Okay, under the heading of reproductive health, certain things have to be learnt by us. Reproductive health, the physical and psychological well-being related to the participation in sexual intercourse followed by having and bringing up the children together are referred as reproductive health. What it is? The physical and psychological well-being in order to participate in sexual intercourse and having and bringing up the children is referred as reproductive health. You have to write it down, okay, directly by listening to me. Now, remaining things I have already written as notes. You can go through them. The process of sexual maturation gradually takes place as the general process of body growth begins to slow down. In previous classes, we have learned this point. The process of sexual maturation gradually takes place as the general process of body growth begins to slow down. So, during the process of sexual maturation, the general body growth is not going to completely stop. It only slows down. Means in a slow manner, the general body growth also continue to take place along with the at full paced sexual maturation. Right? So, by the time of some degree of sexual maturation, the body and mind are not fully in developed condition. They are still under development. So you cannot say that the body and mind is fully developed. It has the development of body and mind. It has got slowed down. It has got slowed down. That's it. But not completely developed. So when it is just looked into the point of sexual maturation, by the time of some degree of sexual maturation, the body and mind are also, okay, they are not completely, we can say they are fully developed, but they are about to get developed, but they are not fully developed in condition. Therefore, some degree of sexual maturation is not enough for participating in sexual act and for having and bringing up the children because the body and mind are not fully in developed condition to bear such responsibilities. So if a question is asked to you, by the time of some degree of sexual maturation, if the body and mind are readily in condition to bear the responsibilities of having and bringing up children? No. Why? Because they are not in fully developed condition. So only by the time of some degree of sexual maturation, okay, the body and mind, as they are not fully in developed condition, okay, by the time of some degree of sexual maturation, it itself is not enough for participating in sexual act and having and bringing up children. Okay. There are various pressures on the minds of individual persons related to participating in sexual intercourse or having children. What are those pressures on the minds of the individual persons? Pressure from the peer group to participate in sexual intercourse, especially during the time of adolescence. And pressure from family members to get married soon and start having children. And these two pressures are different. And third pressure is from government agencies. It is different. What do they tell? After having marriage, they just pressurize to avoid having children. To avoid having children. These are various pressures on the minds of individual persons. First pressure is pressure from peer group to participate in sexual intercourse, especially during the time of adolescence. And second one, pressure from family members to get married and start having children soon. And third one, pressure from government agencies to avoid having children. Once, if the persons have attained the prescribed age by the government to get married, then by checking the economic stability and psychological maturity, it can be decided that the body and mind of the persons is ready to take up the responsibility of having and bringing up children. So how can we decide whether the persons are ready to participate in sexual intercourse and they are ready to have the children and they are ready to take up the responsibility of bringing up the children? If the persons have attained the prescribed age by the government to have the marriage, and if the persons have attained the economic stability and psychological maturity to deal with the physical and psychological problems after participating in sexual intercourse and after getting pregnancy and after having children, then okay, it can be decided that the persons, if they have met all these conditions in full, then it can be decided that the persons are ready to take up all these responsibilities. If prescribed is not attained, and if economic stability is not there, if psychological maturity is not enough, is not there, then we can say that the person is not ready to have all these responsibilities. If all these things are met, then we can decide that the person is ready to bear all these responsibilities. If the person has not attained the prescribed age, the person has not attained the economic stability, if the person has not having a psychological maturity to deal with various physical and psychological problems, then we can say the person is not ready to take up all these responsibilities. What are the possible health consequences of having sex? What are the possible health consequences of having sex? After having sex, many diseases can be sexually transmitted. Since the sexual act is a very intimate or close connection of bodies, We all know that sexual act is a very intimate or close connection of bodies. So many diseases can be sexually transmitted from male to female. STDs means sexually transmitted diseases. There are two main types of STDs: bacterial STDs and viral STDs. Examples for bacterial STDs are syphilis, which is caused by Treponema pallidum, and gonorrhea, which is caused by Neisseria gonorrhoeae. These are the two examples for bacterial STDs. And viral STDs, the diseases that are caused by the viruses and are getting transmitted by the sexual act are viral STDs. Examples are genital warts, HIV/AIDS, hepatitis, etc. Okay, and these STDs can easily spread from one person to other person, that is from male to female. If one person is having the STD, if he or she participates with another person, then these can easily get transferred to the another person. How can we prevent the transmission of the STDs? STDs can be prevented from their transmission by using condoms to cover the penis in men and to cover the vagina in women. Okay, many think that the condoms are for only men. Even for women also the condoms are there. They are vaginal condoms. Okay, if the men and women, they use the condom during the participation of sexual intercourse, even though one of the partners is having the sexually transmitted diseases, usage of condom can prevent the transmission of STDs. But is it going to give full protection? Not exactly. Only to some extent the sexually transmitted diseases can be prevented from their transmission. The sexual act may lead to the development of pregnancy. This is the another possible health consequence of having sex. The sexual act may lead to the development of pregnancy in women. Of course, pregnancy will arise only in women. Pregnancy make major demands on both body and mind. If these demands are not met properly, then the health of the women will be affected very adversely. So, the possible consequence, health consequence of having sex is development of pregnancy in women. And this pregnancy has many major demands on both body and mind. If these demands are not properly met, what will happen? The health of the women will be affected very adversely. Now, contraception. What is contraception? Contra, opposite. Ception means to have the pregnancy. Opposite to have the pregnancy means not to have the pregnancy. Prevention or stopping the occurrence of pregnancy is known as contraception. Contraception. Conceiving means to have the pregnancy. Conceive, okay, is having the pregnancy. Contra to this conceive, contraception. Okay, that is not having the pregnancy or stopping the occurrence of pregnancy is known as contraception. How can one stop the occurrence of pregnancy in spite of participating in sexual intercourse? Not to participate in sexual intercourse definitely, okay, will not give any pregnancy. But contraception, it does not deal with the persons who are not participating in sexual intercourse. It deals with the persons who are participating in sexual intercourse. In spite of having participated in sexual intercourse, how to avoid pregnancy? That is what contraception. Okay. Not participating in sexual intercourse, if one feels that it is contraception, that is wrong. In spite of having participated in sexual intercourse, how to avoid pregnancy is the contraception. There are various contraceptive methods. These methods or devices are used to prevent the occurrence of pregnancy. There are mainly three methods of contraception. That is usage of physical or mechanical barriers. Usage of physical or mechanical barriers. That is the first one. Physical barriers or mechanical barriers. Usage of penis and vaginal condom or intrauterine devices. I for intra, U for uterine, D for device. IUDs means intrauterine device. There is a special device called copper T loop. It will be like a T in shape and it is placed in the uterus of the woman, and it is it is used for long term prevention, like for 2 years, 5 years, even for 10 years also copper T loops are available. If the couple does not want to have the children for about 2 years, they will go for this usage of IUD of 2-year copper T loop. If they don't want children for 5 years, they can go for 5-year copper T loop. That is what intrauterine device. This is purely mechanical barrier. Okay, with the usage of penis or with the usage of condoms, generally side effects will not be there. Whereas with the usage of IUDs, mild side effects may be there because it has to be inserted surgically. So while doing the surgery, which makes this copper T loop to be placed in the uterus, there may be chances of occurrence of some damage to the uterine wall, which may permanently make that woman not to have the ability to get pregnancy. So while going for IUD usage, one has to rethink about it. Even doctors also, they just insert this copper T loop only to those women who are already having at least one child, because the insertion of copper T loop may cause for permanent prevention of occurrence of pregnancy also. And second one is chemical methods. Usage of drugs, hormonal drugs or pills. Means, see, release of egg, all these things are just stimulated by the release of hormones. There are some chemical drugs, if they are used, okay, the release of egg is stopped. When the release of egg is stopped, automatically what will happen? It will just cause no fertilization. Okay, and usage of mechanical barriers, what will they do? They also cause prevention of fertilization. Here, when the egg is released by the usage of mechanical barriers, we have prevented the fertilization. Whereas usage of drugs before the egg is released, okay, it is stopping the release of egg, or it is just causing the egg not to get fertilized. Okay, that is by inducing the hormonal imbalance. The chemical drugs or pills, what do? They induce the hormonal imbalance. This hormonal imbalance, what it will cause? It will cause the prevention of the release of the egg. Okay, next. Third one is surgical method, tubectomy and vasectomy. We have learned that oviduct, which is also called fallopian tube. This fallopian tube, where it is the place where fertilization takes place, or it is the tube through which the egg is released out from the ovaries. If this tube is cut and tied back in both sides, what will happen? Even if the egg is released also, it will not get fertilized because it is tied back. Tubectomy. And vasectomy, vas difference. These are the tubes that bring the sperm out. If these tubes are cut and tied back, then they will not bring the sperm. Okay. So what will happen if the egg is not released out? Okay. Is it not going to just cause any problem? Nothing will happen. It will get degenerate. What will happen if the sperm is not leaked out? Nothing will happen. The sperms which are not used in the testes, they are absorbed by the blood. Okay. Otherwise, nothing will happen. So tubectomy and vasectomy, they are permanent methods Okay, they are not going to be recorrected back, like insertion of IUDs, etc. Okay, right. So with this, we have completed almost this chapter. Mild things are left over. With exercise and everything other things we will discuss in the next class. Thank you.